This country has lost its identity. This is not Britain. This country lacks nationalism. Where has the love for this country gone? You're watching people walk around openly flaunting knives, walking around openly shouting at each other about their hatred for this country, about their hatred for one another, about the religious divide. You look around the major city centres of places within the UK and you just kind of think, the love is gone. This is not community, this is just dangerous. We live in a very evil world. We live in a very dark world. The globalist ideas like the EU or like NATO or any of these things, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work, number one, because you have to remember, who's at the top? Who's at the top? Is it the people like me, like you, the average working person that simply just wants to live a comfortable life? No. No. The people at the top are the people that don't actually care about you. The people at the top are the people that are willing to sacrifice your happiness, your well-being, your comfort, your living standards for a little bit more ka-ching, a little bit more money. There's more shekels in their pocket. That's what they care about. That is not nationalism. When I talk about economic nationalism, it's to try and benefit the people at the bottom of our country, the people that can't get jobs. You can go on about economic output all you like. Economic output only goes so far when everybody in your country is miserable, when everybody in your country is struggling to have a family, is struggling to buy a house, is struggling to buy a car. The country might be getting richer, but the people at the bottom aren't. The people at the bottom are not benefiting from these global ideas. It doesn't work. It just hurts.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Prioritise Britain. I'm your host, Hugh Anthony. Very excited to be back. I had a little bit of a break yesterday with the collab with Reese talking. I hope you all enjoyed that. Reese is, we refer to him as the British Alex Jones, the guy that does the conspiracy theories and the guy that likes to talk about depopulation and how they're controlling the weather and stuff like that. It was a very fun day, actually, walking around Cambridge, and there were a lot of weird demonic kind of rituals and shrines to these creatures, these oligarchs that like to dictate towards what human life and perception is. And Reese and I will be back together doing a collab at some point soon. We're going to have him on the show at some point so you guys can see us have a conversation about certain things. We're going to talk about brainwashing and stuff like that. It will be a bit different from the regular politics and the regular news that I go over, but I think you guys should enjoy it if you're into more of your spirituality and understanding human conditioning and stuff like that. So we are going to have Reese on the show at some point soon. We're also going to go back to Cambridge. We're going to go back to Cambridge at some point, and we are going to sit there and argue with a bunch of Cambridge Marxist retards and see what they actually believe and can they hold up their beliefs with Cambridge level education. Because as I'm sure some of you saw from the video yesterday, there were some people that walked by, I didn't get them on camera, that actually said it, but they looked at the Ukrainian flag and went, oh, that's Sweden. You can imagine what they looked like, the wolf cut, the slightly overweight lesbian type that would definitely post about BLM back in the day, would have turned their account to a black screen, definitely post a lot about Gaza and the war and say we're going to boycott McDonald's and all of that, but then they'll have to buy themselves a triple pump caramel cappuccino on the way into their lectures at Cambridge, because that's how far we've fallen, where a Cambridge level educated student doesn't know the difference between the Swedish flag and the Ukrainian flag. You would think after nearly 3 years at war, more than that now for the Ukrainian war, you would think they would know the flag, right? But it was a fun day. I think Reese and I had a lot of fun. We got on very well. Everyone was saying, look at the height difference between Hugh and Reese. I'm thinking, hold on a minute. He's on stilts. That's not very fair. Excuse me. I said don't mention it, and everyone was mentioning it. They were like, Hugh, how small are you? I'm a little guy. As Robinson said, I'm 3 foot. Speaking of Robinson, actually, I was putting out some tweets about his trip to Poland. His trip to Poland being an astounding victory for the ethno-Nats, an astounding victory as he's began to use the red squirrel, grey squirrel analogy, talking about how the population was annihilated when a more apex predator, a more dominant tribal force was introduced into the environment. And he began to use that analogy to talk about Britain. And it was funny because Tommy sat there and he said about how London is now minority white. And he said, well, we're gonna go that way. What kind of a country do you want to live in? London's minority white. The UK is going to be minority white. Everywhere's going to turn foreign. And then in the same breath, he had to do the regular thing that he always does. And he linked it back to Islam. And he went, well, it's Islam. It's not just Islam, Robinson. Come on. And we're going to get into this in a minute. And I'm going to go over a YouGov poll. And that is the main story of tonight. We're going to talk about a YouGov poll because the British people are a lot more brainwashed than we thought. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do down the line. And clearly I'm going to be busy for quite a few years to try and break people out of this brainwashing, break them out of their conditioning that they've been taught for so long and this comfort of reality to make them understand what their true identity is. So we're going to go into that poll, but Robinson again had to say, well, it's just Islam. No, it's not just Islam. The highest level of immigrants that we take into this country are Indians. That is a big problem. All the Africans coming over there, a lot of them are not Muslim. A lot of them are Christian. And we may be brothers in Christ, but we're not brothers by blood. But nobody talks about that. Nobody likes to mention it. And even though Robinson will sit there and he will say, London's minority white, Manchester's minority white, Luton's turned to a shithole, Birmingham's turned to a shithole, he will not say that immigration is the major factor. It's not just Islam. It is all foreign immigration into this country, changing our demographics over the last 80 years. And we know why he doesn't say that and why he sits there and says that he likes the Sikhs and he likes the Hindus and he likes any other brown person apart from the ones that say mashallah and worship Allah, right? Any other brown person he's fine with. But then he will sit there and say, we need to be like Poland, which is 98% Polish and 99.87% white. He'll sit there walking down the street saying, wow, look how clean and peaceful it is. Look how nice it is. But then he won't correlate. Maybe it's nice because it's a homogenous state. Maybe it's nice because it's an ethno state. He won't correlate the two. There's always a distinction because he's paid to distinct between the actual problem and his scapegoated issue. Is Islam an issue? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely it's an issue. How do we resolve that? We ban Islam. What's the countermeasure for banning Islam? Well, a load of people are going to self-deport because if they can't practice their wonderful religion of worshipping a black box in the desert and marrying 9-year-olds with 4 different wives, they'll want to go back to the desert anyway. But I don't want anyone to be mistaken on. I'm gonna round this into the point of the poll that we'll get onto. We're gonna do a little bit of more like technical things. I'm gonna show you the tweets and the poll today. But Robinson then is the same man that sat on a podcast surrounded by some Africans and went, well, I think blacks can be English, not British. Let's remember, a lot of people like to argue with me and say, well, British is a legal term. It is your legal attribute to being in this country. You're legally British because that is the collective term for the people of these isles. I mean, I again argue Acts of Union 1707, but Tommy turned around and told these Africans, you can be black and English. The same man that's now complaining that London is 36% white, sat there and told foreigners who are Africans that they can be English. How does that work? Well, it doesn't. He's the same one that was asked, well, what do you think about the British people? He's like, well, I think we need a country that puts the British people first, by a Jewish guy, by the way. And he was sat there and he was asked, well, well, the British people need to come first. But the British people aren't white people, it's British people. The Jewish guy, goes, well, does that include me? And Tommy goes, well, yeah, of course it includes you. Of course it includes you. Does it include Muslims, the Jewish guy says? Tommy goes, well, of course it includes Muslims as well. But I thought you just complained about Muslims replacing us demographically, and now you're saying that they can also be a part of us. How does that work? This is what I mean when there's so many flaws in the ideology, there's so many flaws in the understanding. How can you have a comprehensive message of demographic change if you can't even determine what the demographics are? How are you able to sit there and try and tell us about one thing, but not the other? And I find it so funny that he, again, never ever addresses the fact that Islam is the broom to Judaism. Who's putting the Muslims here? There were no Muslims in the UK before the state of Israel existed and shoved us into a load of foreign wars. Before we got shoved into false flag after false flag after false flag and forced to give them a state because they were killing off our sergeants and officers and bombing our railways and bribing our politicians, bribing Churchill, trying to send bomb letters to our prime ministers at the time, assassinating our lords. Robin Stein won't say that, though, because that's what he's paid not to say. And I put this on X, and I put on X about, well, you're using our squirrel analogy, our grey squirrel analogy. You're using that now. But why will you not recognize that it's more than just Islam? And I called him a liar. I was like, you don't care about the white population. You've repeatedly said that our identity can be adopted by Africans, that our identity can be adopted by foreigners. To which he responded to me, again, I know he's obsessed, to which he responded to me without rebuting my point. All Robinson did was say, I look forward to bumping into you, Hugh. I look forward to bumping into you, Hugh. Now, I don't know if he means bumping into you by doing a line with each other. I know that's his thing. I know that that's what he likes. Not big fan of it myself, Robinson, so you can keep the line for yourself if that's what you meant by bumping into you. Unless he meant something along the lines of a bit more deviant, considering he called me a 3-foot homosexual last time we interacted. That would be a bit bizarre if he was like, can't wait to bump into you, Hugh. Like, look, I know Israel's the gay capital of the world, and I know that Tel Aviv is the gay capital of the world. But Tommy, please, I have standards. I have standards. I may have daddy issues, but they're not that bad. Please, right? Please. Was it a threat? Was it not? I don't know. I don't know. Somebody asked that in the comments. Were like, was it a threat? Was it not? And I said, I just think he likes me secretly. He loves me secretly. To which he responded again to me, because there's nothing better to do when you're on holiday. When you're on holiday in the ethno state that is Poland, then respond to the 22-year-old 3-foot homosexual that you like to call me. Respond to me again and went, I just find you amusing. Oh yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. So me and Tommy might have an interaction. Look, I don't mind. I'll put these points to him. I think his position is wholly indefensible. And I'll put the points to him in person. And we'll see how that goes. But I hope he knows that I'm not a practicing man. I'm a very celibate man. I'm not interested in his offers. I think he's looking in the wrong market for that. I think that Tommy just needs to get his head on straight about what he's actually promoting so that he can talk to a wider audience, because he does have a wide audience, and we can't deny that. But if he refuses to actually take our talking points and use them properly, because that's the point, he's taking our talking points, he is not using them properly. If he refuses to use them properly, I will continue to attack him and take his audience. And the more I take his audience and the more I drag them to me, the less power he will have. Again, I go back to the reason. I mean, yesterday, somebody tried to hack into my Twitter, going over my fucking security key. So apparently the guy that's not a threat is getting attacked by Robinson, is getting hacked into, is being attacked by all the civnats. The guy that's not a threat, that has the motion, the white boy with the motion, that Tommy can't actually do anything. But I don't know. I felt a little bit disgusted by Tommy. I was just like, oh, okay, not for me, please, not for me. But I can't blame him for that messaging, and this is why I can't blame him, because a new YouGov poll came out today, and it revealed that only 11% of English people believe that you have to be white to be English. 11%. Now, I know that when we look at the polls, and we look at this data that's pushed forward to us, we have to take it with a grain of salt, because how much of it is actually real and how much of it is fake, and it's a small sample size, and you go to like Brighton and you ask a load of like 20-year-old idiots that are too busy being high all the time or whatnot. You ask them, oh, what do you think it is to be English? Oh, well, brah, I think it's like whatever Zach Palensky says. I think it's like whatever Zach Palensky tells me it is. Because Zach Palensky, I can't deal with a man. I just can't deal with him. Do I even call him a man? He's like a rodent. Sat there on stage with Rizzle kicks, like going like, I say tax, you say rich, tax the rich. And it's like, you fucking cringe bastard. He is so cringy. Unbelievably cringy. And I can't deal with him. I'm sorry. I'm going off topic, but I got to talk about Zelensky. He is so cringe. He is I said this earlier on Twitter. He's a theatre kid that was not bullied enough, right? There is nothing to him apart from being a gay Jew that doesn't like Zionism. That's it. That's all it is. It's, oh, I'm a gay Jew that doesn't like Zionism. Look at me, guys. Look at me. I say fascist and Nazi and racist and bigot and xenophobe and all of those buzzwords to hit boxes. But that's it. That's it. That's all he does. And all the stoner, retard, 20-year-olds, all the people that are sadly in my age group fall for it because they're all idiots. They're all too busy thinking about sex. They're too busy thinking about weed, and they're too busy thinking about going out and doing all the dumb shit. They're not switched on enough to go, yeah, this guy's just grifting off of our stupidity, because that's all he's doing. He's grifting off of your stupidity. And people go, but he's got motion. He's got motion. He's only got motion because the people that he attracts have no understanding of life in itself. I mean, you can come for me for my age, but they have no understanding of life in itself. It's the entire reason that Zoran Mandami did so well in New York, is because, again, it was, oh, I'm down with the kids. I'm cool like that. I'm this older guy that's cool, and I don't like Jews and all of that. Okay, fairs. But it's the same thing. And they fall for it because, again, young people play empathy into politics. We don't. When you get a little bit more real, you begin to detach your empathetical side to your logical side. As much as your empathetical side will tell you 1,000 times something can't be real, eventually your intellectual side will take over and it will dominate your emotional side and go, it is real. You can deny the fact that a lot of the media is owned by Jews. You can deny the fact that a lot of the immigration policy is being put into place by Jews. You can deny the fact that our demographics are being attacked until you look around and you see it on the street. You can deny the fact that a lot of your politicians are controlled opposition. But eventually your intellectual side will take over it, and you will realize these facts. You will realize exactly what is happening. You won't be able to deny anymore the reality that's in front of you. And a lot of young people, they can't grasp that. They can't grasp past their empathetical side because they're taught, just be kind to people. Just be accepting of everything. Reality's not real. You're young. Live young. What's the phrase? Young and dumb. Young and dumb. Go smoke a spliff. Go to uni. Go out clubbing. Go be an idiot. Go support Zach Polanski, the man that said he's going to make Putin give up his nuclear weapons. Yeah, okay. Imagine him on the world stage. I just mean it nicely. He walks into a NATO meeting. Oh, I'm Zach Polanski. I'm the fairy from Salford. Oh, look at me. I love green energy and my Arabian boyfriend. No one's going to give a shit. You think Putin's going to look at that man and take him seriously? Putin will probably just call him a slur in Russian. Like, it has no reality on the world stage. But again, he's a populist. Of course he's a populist. A lot of people are populist. Don't get me wrong. I think populism actually succeeds quite well in politics. Farage is a populist. Trump is a populist. Polanski's a populist. They succeed because people like the person. Starmer's not a populist. He's just boring. That's why he's failing so large. But I saw that as well. I just thought that was so cringe. But that is the audience that are responding to some of these polls. Don't get me wrong. So when we look at the polls, and we look at this poll I'm going to show you in a minute from YouGov that says only 11% of English people actually think you have to be white to be English. You've got to remember, a lot of the samples maybe are wrong, maybe are taken from retarded areas, but it's still concerning that according to this poll, right? According to this poll, only 1 out of 10 English people are actually correct. 1 out of 10. I'll show you the poll now. So this is on Twitter. I'll be here. Hello. This is on Twitter, X, as you know. And we'll go through it because I saw this. It was in Feb. Suella Braverman sparked debate with a column entitled, "I will never be truly English." True. She's brown. One which her boss Rishi Sunak branded slightly ridiculous. I'm sure that Rishi Sunak, the guy there, is very number one Hindu, very pro-India. All of this enacted a lot of policy to benefit Indian students and workers. I'm sure that he has so much idea of what it is to be English, right? So this is the poll. So it says that while 9% of white adults in England say you need to be white with English family heritage in order to be considered English, this raises to 17 to 21% among ethnic minority adults. So actually, more foreigners understand that you have to be white. Not many at all. A lot of foreigners will still think that they are white, as in English. They will still go, "Well, I am English, bro. I was born in Bradford, so it makes me the same as you. I'm the Englishman like you are." So a lot of them will be like that. But if we actually look at it, from white adults born in UK to have a heritage, no, yes, 9%, right? But look at this. You have to be white to be English, right? To be British, you have to be white. 6% said no, 3% said yes. Only 3% outside of the UK. Oh no, that's 6%. Sorry, 6% of the whites said yes, 4% said no of this. The minorities want to be British as well. They want to be British as well. 100 Woodhouse, bro. Hold on. I don't even give a shit. It's so hello. I can see that. I've literally everything's dark, so I don't give a shit. Anyway, it doesn't bother me. To be British, combined answers have to be white and have family, 6%, blah, blah, blah. To be English, have to have family heritage. A lot of them said yes. This is it. White adults born in UK, only 10% said you have to be white. Only 10%. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? only 10% of white-born English people in England think that they have to be like us to be us. If everyone can be English, if being English is no longer to your cultural ties and your ethnic ties, then what is English? How can people not comprehend the fact that not every white person is English, but every English person is white? For some reason, they just don't understand it. And this is how we advance forwards, right? This is how we advance forward. Now, again, like I said earlier, this poll may have just been taken from retards. There is a very strong possibility it was just taken from retards. But if you want to deal with this, and a lot of people do think this way, a lot of people do think they're English, and I see this a lot by talking to people, right? I see this a lot by talking to people. If you want to change the perspective of these people, you have to propagandize them to realize that their identity means way more than a label. Their identity is blood and soil. It is not the fact of some African coming over, giving birth to another African and going, it's English now. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. If you want to win this war and you want to make people understand what their identity means, you have to give them a reason to want their identity. And the reason to want their identity is a future. They have to want a future for themselves, for their kids, for their family, for their friends. If not, they won't care. If not, they will continue to sit there at a 90% majority, super majority of people from England, English people saying, well, they can be English as well. If not, you are going to lose this war. Our identity will mean nothing. Our ethnic group will be genocided if we do not fight back against this idea. And I know it's difficult because people don't want to be called a racist. And look, I said you gotta. Why is it showing me that? Fuck off. You've got to understand that being called a racist means nothing at this point in time. If you're scared about being called a racist, you're an idiot. Grow up. Grow up. You want to be a racist when you're surrounded by foreigners and you don't feel safe in your own country, where your kids don't feel safe, can't get housing because our population's been boomed for slave labor. Will you still be concerned about being called a racist? So that was the combined one, that was the individual one. And the combined answer is have to be white and have family is 9, but have to be white, Christian heritage and have family is 4. And here you go. This is the ethnic minority adults in England who are born in the UK are much more likely than their white counterparts to say they feel a greater British than English identity. So 50% said equally English and British. More English than British is 13%. English not British is 11%. More British than English, which is interesting because, again, we're removing our ties to our own land, is 10%. And British not English, so a whole 10% almost of our own population doesn't even align with their own ethnic group. Doesn't even align with their own ethnic group. How crazy is that? Imagine you went to fucking India and 10% of India went, bro, I don't even align with India, bro. I am not Indian. Like it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. On the contrary, ethnic minorities born in the UK, they feel equally British and English is a third of them, which is crazy. A lot of them, 24%, feel British, not English. 6% said more English than British. 4% said English, not British at all. And a lot of them were like, don't know, other. Now, you've got to see like the spike here, and you see it again on the ethnic minorities, adults born outside the UK, is where it says Nearly a third of them are just other. They probably just feel like a guest here, which they are. 24% say British, not English. But this is a bit interesting. People born outside of the UK that have moved into the UK, look, 4% of them recognise themselves as English. 4% of them recognise themselves as more English than British. So that's 8%. 16% classify themselves as equally English and British. And then the other, 76% of them fit themselves into either a guest or into British. So people that weren't even born here have no attachment to our land, have no understanding of our heritage, no blood tribe here, no nothing. They then identify themselves as our own label. They identify us as British, themselves as British. The 4% identifying as English, the ones that have moved here, ethnic minorities, so definitely not white in the slightest, nothing like us. The 4% that recognize themselves as English, what is going on there? What is going on there? How does that even make sense in the slightest? What is our identity? What is this propaganda? What is this Marxist idea of our country where identity is just being adopted by foreigners? Again, imagine I go to India and I claim myself to be Indian. I'd get fucking roundhouse kicked into a pile of cow shit. But when they do it, we have to accept it or we're racist. And again, the public are more likely to see English identity as requiring family heritage than British identity. Good. 1 in 5 adults in England have a more restrictive definition of English identity than they do of Britishness. So only a small amount still actually can recognise our own ethnicity. This is the comparison regarding who can identify themselves as British and English. When it comes to who can be considered British, which the following is your view. According to white adults who are born in the UK, 24% say require family heritage. 44% require being born and raised here. A half of us think that just being born here makes them the same. Half of us think that a rat born in a stable makes them a horse. That's crazy. That's crazy. According to ethnic minorities who were born in the UK, 10% require. More of them, of course more of them do, more of them think that being born and raised here makes you British, which is crazy. Look how many of them think that can attain to just by coming here as an adult. Out of the foreigners, 56% that weren't even born here and have moved here think they can claim our identity just by moving here, just by coming here. But we're going to the English. Look, requires family heritage. They're all about 33%. But this is what's crazy. This is white adults who are born in the UK require being born, so raised here. 42% of white adults in the UK, of our own people, just under half of us think that somebody just being born here makes them English. Makes them English. Really? This level of indoctrination on our own people is bonkers. It's absolutely fucking nuts. I can't wrap my head around it. Because we've got to put it into perspective, right? If we look at the level of mass migration, when did it start happening into the UK? Well, in 1951, in England, Wales, we were 99.99% white population. Since then, we have now boomed in our population. The 80s saw a big swathe of people coming over, especially from the Caribbeans and the North African regions. The Blair wave came in. Barbara, the Jewish woman that said that her faith interacts everything, is what gave over so many people within the Blair wave. We had the Boris wave, which took in so many Indians, enacted under Braverman. That allowed so many people in. Rishi Sunak brought in a load of foreigners from non-European countries. So we've had so many people come here in the last 80 years, less than 80 years, and are now claiming our identity. And to add on to the idiocy of them claiming our identity, our own people are being propagandized and indoctrinated to allow them to become one of us. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? 42% of our own native people think that just by allowing somebody to be born within this country, they automatically are entitled to be English. Bearing in mind, the ONS statistics literally say that the majority of our immigration is going to lead to our population growth. Foreign-born individuals in this country are going to overtake the native births by 2030, I think it was. I think it's about 2030. By 2044, we're going to be on very fast decline to be a minority in our own country. And our own people are complicit in our own replacement, to the fact where the media, the schooling, the cultural, societal ties have now led to a point where people like Big John come along and he goes, oh, boss, get a fucking Chinese in me, boss, that Chinese woman over there, she's English, boss. And people fall for it. And people are falling for it. And we can sit here and complain about it all day. I can sit here and say, well, it's ridiculous that people are falling for it. It's ridiculous that we're losing our identity. What are we going to do about it? It's going to continue to happen. We can get mad about it all we like. We can shout about it all we like. We've got to push people to understand what their identity is. We have to push people to understand their history, understand their ancestry, understand their lineage and their ethnic group, understand their own identity. If we don't, we're at very, very severe risk at losing our identity. And this is what I would put to most people, right? Think about your own family. Do you actually want your family, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, would you feel comfortable if they were raised in a country that was minority English? Genuine English, not the idea of what people like to describe as English, but genuinely ethnically English. If not, how are we going to fix that? That's exactly how we fix it, emotionally. Because as much as I get annoyed at Polanski and his messaging, because it pushes on to the idea of playing on people's emotions, you have to understand and think further to begin to rationalize where we are coming from. If you don't want your kids growing up in a country that does not resemble them, then you have to start thinking about what is praising forwards, how we can actually work forward. If we don't, we're going to lose. Because I put it like this: when you see on the news, we'll go for the Huntington stabbing, the man that stabbed 11 people, attempted murder on 11 people. And when you see the news call him British bred, and you would have half of your own people refer to him as English, does that not make you sick a little bit? Does that not make you sick a little bit that your own people are willing to give this foreigner, this savage that is murdering your own people on our own land, does that not give you anger and a genuine hatred at what the system has done to people's minds? Does that not piss you off? That half of your own people would justify that man stabbing your own people because, oh, he was born here, he's English like us. To me, that is a betrayal. To me, I would think back to my ancestors and I would think about their response to that. I would think about how my great-grandparents would have thought, how the ancestors of mine that would have fought in the wars or been involved with defending our identity. When I think about that, I think about the ever-long destruction that is going to happen because of this. And I blame the universities, and I blame the media, and I blame the politicians. I blame everyone for the betrayal of our identity. And then people like me want to come along and I want to talk about it. And I get everyone on my case attacking me. I get everyone calling me a far-right fascist, a far-right Nazi, because I have the balls to stand up and say, yeah, half our country is being retarded. Half of our people are being retarded. They're being misled into allowing themselves to be replaced. And I know a lot of people say, Hugh, it's too late. Hugh, it's too late. We're too many people are now brainwashed into it. There's too many people here. The migration levels are too high. It will never be too late until the last English person is dead. I tell you that right now. It will never be too late. It can be fixed. But if it's going to be fixed, we have to not only push the Overton window, but grab it and pull it as far as we can in as little time as possible. Again, I've said this to people before. Do not get involved publicly with stuff that I do. Do not put yourself in a position where you're going to be relentlessly attacked. Do it behind the scenes. Go behind the scenes, talk about remigration, talk about demographic replacement, talk about our ethnic group, talk about the fact that 42% of our own people can't recognize what an English person is. Talk about those things. Do it with your friends, do it with your families, talk about it in private. Don't put yourself out there because you will be relentlessly attacked. You will be shoved as an enemy of the state. You will be classified because this is genuinely on the government website of what classifies people as being a terrorist is by wanting to preserve your own ethnic group, which happens to be white, and your own cultural values, to determine that your culture is more important and superior to others. That is a terrorist ideology according to our own government. You can find that on the terrorist prevention site on our own gov.uk. They classify the idea of wanting a homogenous society and ethno-nationalism as a terrorist ideology. This is propaganda of the highest order to make you reject your own identity. And you can see from these polls, it is working. And that is a fucking disgrace. That is a disgrace. It is vile. And it is justification to genocide our own people. And the fact that 90% of our own population are brainwashed should be a major, major concern about our internet usage and about our education and all of this. And it doesn't help because we have the phrase of British and it's this national identity. Bearing in mind, we all know that nationality literally means nation, which means an ethnic group and a tribe. So it should just mean the same thing anyway. But because it's been indoctrinated to now mean anyone can be British, because I have this British passport as well, it's allowed us to accept our own replacement. The passports were mainly introduced in 1914 properly as we know them today. And since then, weirdly enough, 1914, where the war started, then we got into the wars, then we needed the immigrants over here to help us. We'd give them this piece of paper that we just created, by the way. It was the British that created it. We'd give them this piece of paper just after the wars. And then all of a sudden we're the same, right? All of a sudden we're all the same. We're all British. We're all allowed in this country because we all hold this piece of paper, which was created just before we were sent into a global war. Just before we were sent to lose our empire, to lose our sovereignty, to lose our men. For what? Global power, global Jewry power, foreign interests, foreign conflicts, banking systems. We lost everything for that. And now we have to accept people with a piece of paper. that goes, bro, look at me, I'm British like you. I'm going to replace you because I'm British like you. We have to accept that they have their own ethnic wars in our country. Leicester, for example, has wars between the South Asian groups. You see a lot of Indian versus Pakistani violence because they don't like each other. Luton, again, a lot of wars between the groups there. Bradford, a lot of disconnect. Tower Hamlets, it's now a no-go zone for the white people. But it's fine because they have this piece of paper. They have this piece of paper that they were given just after the wars that say, hey, thanks for helping us kill our European brothers. Come join us. You're our new European brothers. Listen, we'll leave the conspiracies for when Reese is on, but I don't know, it seems a bit weird timing to me. It seems really fucking bizarre that this propaganda has been pushed down our throats since before the wars, through the wars, after the wars, and still going on now to destroy nations. Again, I've gone over it before, 1933. Hans Kohn electrified what meant by civic nationalism and ethno-nationalism. Ethno-nationalism is no longer a Western value. Civic nationalism is a Western value, according to this Jewish guy that was writing about it and solidified the meanings of it. You see how it all aligns? You see how it all aligns? From the beginning of the war, the Balfour Declarations, creating of these states, the conflicts we're dragged into, the banking system, Churchill going bankrupt and being bought out by rich individuals, the Rothschilds having so much connections over it. Do you see what's happening? And if you don't see what's happening, well, you need to see. You need to wake up. They have been destroying the Western nation states and the white nations since before the wars, because to destroy us is to control the world. We are the biggest threat to the global powers that seek to destroy us. And we are being destroyed from within. And our own people are allowing ourselves to be destroyed from within because they are being indoctrinated to accept their own replacement through legal terms rather than understanding their own ethnicity, rather than understanding their own tribe and their own people. And a lot of it's to blame with our monetary systems. A lot of it can be to blame with capitalism. Look, people ask you, are you a capitalist? I went, I'm not a financial capitalist in the way that I think that money is the number one factor in life and that's all that matters. No. If a system is destroying my group and it is putting my group's replacement at the forefront, if a system is leading to my own people's genocide, then I think that system should be burnt to the ground. I think that system should not exist. If that is a system that is in the way of my own people's prosperity and future, it should not exist. I don't care. I don't care if it's the best system to help us monetary. Money's fake. People are real. So I saw that poll. I just thought it was very, very, very depressing. It was very depressing to see how controlled people were, how controlled our own people were. I'm not really that asked about the ethnic groups and the foreigners that view themselves as British or whatnot, because at the end of the day, if we get into power, when we get into power, it doesn't matter if they think that they deserve to be here. It's up to us, it's up to our government. And if we say no, well, then they're gone. Well, then they're gone. But it was just depressing to see that, because that is the way that our country's gone. That is the way that our country's going. We're beginning to turn the tide now, and we're breaking through from it, but people like Robinson are not helping because they're still just scapegoating Islam when our own people are now accepting these people that will become Muslims as British themselves. But people aren't realizing. And the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight is actually my friend Elijah Schaffer. Elijah Schaffer is a big political commentator in the US. He runs the Riff TV. I've been on the Riff before. He had a conversation with me a few months back now, actually. We're speaking about the UK, we're speaking about ethnic groups, speaking about the white population here. But he is being threatened to be sued by the FBI director because somebody said something about, is he compromised? Is this FBI director compromised? Kaz Patel, is he compromised? And Elijah replied with a picture of Kaz Patel and his girlfriend. Kaz Patel is the leader of the director of the FBI. He is a single man, which is always weird for people in big political power, especially when being the director of the FBI, you would think that the easiest way that people are groomed, the easiest way that people are honey trapped is through sexual agents, is through sexual desires, where a government like Israel has done before, there's been a lot of honeypot situations with Israel, where they will use an agent to romantically involve themselves with an individual for power and blackmail and control. So Elijah just put a picture of Kaz Patel and his girlfriend, who no one really knows. What is she, a singer or something like that? But Kaz Patel and his girlfriend, he put a picture of that and he said nothing. Didn't say a word. Didn't accuse her of being an Israeli agent. Didn't accuse her of anything. Just put a picture up, right? And he's getting sued for $5 million, which is the total of his entire media company. And I'm just like, okay, one, how the fuck do they know that? The estimated sum of all his assets. How do they know that? But they even admitted on the report, the papers to sue him. Well, he didn't ever accuse her of being an Israeli agent. Didn't ever accuse her of being an Israeli agent. Instead, he just put a picture up. And they have gone, well, in the past, he used rhetoric that is anti-Israel. He's been critical of Israel. So they're trying to LARP that with this no context picture, just a random picture of Kaz Patel and his girlfriend, and they're trying to sue him. Look, I think anybody should, that's in a big position of power, especially as the director of the FBI, people should be allowed to be concerned about the people that you're romantically involved with. Because it's happened before. Epstein, for example, I mean, we've seen the new Epstein files and the new releases and stuff like that. But Epstein, for example, was a honey trap. I think it's undeniable that he was a Mossad agent. I think it's undeniable that Ghislaine Maxwell was also working with Israel. Her father was a triple agent. He worked for the CIA, he worked for MI5, and he worked for Mossad. He is a key figure behind the Promise system, which was supposed to be this international base of criminals and crime database shared between allies. He gave the US a faulty version, a virus-infected version, and it was revealed that it was taking information from US intelligence. It's undeniable that Epstein was also involved within Mossad. It's undeniable. I mean, he was a Jewish guy. It's undeniable that he worked for the Israeli government. So when somebody else is involved with a direct politician or the director of the FBI now in America, is it really a surprise that Americans are cautious? Is it really a surprise that Americans just want to know? I don't think that asking questions is a suable offense. Did Elijah Schaffer come out and directly say, well, she's working for Israel? No. No. He just put a picture of the two together. Is it a crime if I was to sit there and say, well, look, I would like to maybe know if Keir Starmer's wife, who happens to be Jewish, if she has any connections to the Israeli government? I would like to know if she's involved in any interactions there. Would that be a crime? Would that be a crime? But I think it says more. It says more when they're willing to take it and sue him for everything he has, his entire company, to make him hand over all his assets and basically apologize and step away from the scene. I think it says more when they just couldn't have gone, no, she's not. They could lie. Of course they could lie. They could easily lie and go, well, she's not involved with Israel. You could easily do that. But the fact that they're not even doing that, they've just gone straight for the suing. They've just gone straight for the, we're going to take everything off you. That's very, very suspicious. That is awfully suspicious. And look, I'm not accusing them. I don't want to get sued. If you were to sue me, you wouldn't get a lot anyway. Trust me. You can have like what? A couple of cans of Strongbow and some balls of steel. But apart from that, but I just think it's such a weird way to react to it because he hasn't said anything. You're going to sue like Alex Jones if he was to question it. You're going to sue me for questioning it. I don't know. But again, I think it goes back to the whole idea of this Jewish censorship that people keep talking about. And again, like put it like this, TikTok's now owned by a Jewish guy. They've now banned anti-Semitic dog whistles like the juice box emoji, which is crazy. We know that large proportions of the media are owned by big Jewish figures. Not all of it, but a lot of it. It does not really help this idea of Jewish censorship and Jewish control when you are continuing to censor people that are asking questions about these things. I just don't understand why this conspiracy is now becoming less of a conspiracy and more of just reality. Now it's just becoming reality. Now people are just going, well, hold on a minute. This is happening constantly. Hold on a minute. This is happening constantly. It's constant Jewish control. It's constant Jewish censorship. They're being censored. He's being shut up. TikTok's being rebranded. Meta's been under fire for its large amount of anti-Semitic clips that have been allowed on. Now they're going to censorship. The Online Safety Act came out and it was banning things. It was banning our online speech. At what point do we say, well, this isn't a conspiracy anymore? At what point do we say this is just reality of what's going on? Why do they have so much control? Why is there so much money here? Why are there so many media industries owned by them? Why is everything being censored? Because again, if you were to come out and say something that was racist towards white people, nobody would give a shit. You wouldn't be arrested. You wouldn't be sued. They wouldn't kick you off the internet. They wouldn't debank you. They wouldn't arrest you for saying that you don't like white people or that you think that white people have too much power. The Minister of Scotland going, everything's white, it's white, it's white, it's white, it's white. There was a bit of backlash, but nothing happened, right? Imagine if I was to do the same thing, but flip it. And I think you know exactly why that's happening. It's because it is this genuine conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy. It's a gang, it's a mafia that's working against us to try and rid us of our speech and of our consciousness. They're trying to manipulate you into accepting it. They are demons, not all of them. Again, I always say this: it's not every Jewish person. Not every Jewish person controls the fucking media, but the ones at the very top that do, the ones that are working in a very ethnically tribal area and are working together at the top to control the narrative, control their own financial empire, their banking dynasties, control their media corporations, control all of that at the very, very top of it. They are the ones with the power. They are the ones with the power, and they are the ones that are telling you, you can't say that, you can't talk bad about that, you've got to shut up about that, we're going to control these protests, we're going to control your speech, we're going to control the media, we're going to control what content you view, we're going to control the information that you take in. Like that's what I mean. I just think that when you separate conspiracy and, again, low IQ anti-Semitism, yes, it does just make this conversation seem retarded because a lot of people just go, oh, but the Jews. Okay, listen, if you're gonna actually get into it, have some understanding of what we're talking about. Don't just go with the Jews. Okay. It makes you have to understand that the secular tribalist, globalist ones that are at the very, very, very top, that are controlling things, and the Talmudic ones, they are working in correlation to destroy the white race. That is just so fucking obvious. Look at Western society. It does not just happen randomly. Like I said earlier, look at the passport. Look at the passport that then moves on to the wars that we're involved in, which were all, again, banking and all of that involved us, killed our brothers, lost our empire. And then the birth of Israel. Since then, Islamic extremism here. And since then, what's happened? White populations have declined, our ethnic groups declined, countless wars for no reason, our government being controlled and things like that. Is it a conspiracy? No. I think that's just what's happening. Does Elijah Schaffer deserve to be sued? No. You've got to think about why he's being sued, though. Why have they not just come out and go, well, no, she's not, it's stupid. Or just ignore it. If it's not a big deal, just ignore it. But I don't know. We'll go on to the chat. I'll see what you guys are saying. I think I've gone over time a little bit today. I have definitely gone over time a little bit, but we'll go on to the chat and see what you guys are all saying. Good evening, everybody. Let me go up to the top. I will scroll quite quickly because I have things to do, so I cannot be around for ages. Most people's followers don't hold real concrete beliefs. I would agree with that. Most people are sheep, but I think that is it. Shut the fuck up. Most people are just sheep there. Most people do just follow like baseline ideas. It will only baseline our ideas. Citizenship. Well, citizenship is just a global idea. Citizenship's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It pushes down and attacks us. They keep going. Insanity of kids. They might have red hair. It's very easy and unhelpful to sit at a keyboard and pick holes at purity spiral about Fuentes Anthony Robinson whilst country burns. But look, it's easy to purity spiral, but we also have to look at, like, this is what I keep saying, you have to look at what the actual, the thing in the way right now of us is the people that try and redefine our identity. And a lot of people that try and redefine our identity are people like Robinson, the civ naps that are in the way of us. Why has the light done that? This is what I mean. Tell us why citizenship is ridiculous. Tell us this isn't good enough. Right. Number one, shut the fuck up. You do it, right? I always get, but Hugh needs to like sit there and do like a 3-hour documentary on why fucking citizenship's retarded and shit like that. The most baseline understanding, citizenship gives anybody a right to a land as long as they have a legal status here. That's why it's retarded, because citizenship denies the ethnic ties and the roots to a land. It's I don't need to explain that to you. That's obvious. If I need to sit and explain that to you, you cannot be that fucking dribbled. Come on, that's so easy. Why is citizenship bad? Oh, because if you give 1 million fucking Africans or Indian citizenship and they go, oh, but I belong here, then of course your population's going to be depleted. Come on. Come on. We can't all be that retarded. This is not good enough. You do it then. You do it then. Smack my head against the table. Most people are too lazy to think for themselves. Well, exactly. They just repeat. Who mix in social circles with foreigners often think this way. Yeah, this is the point. People will, like, they'll have a friend that they know. They'll have the local boss man that's like some Middle Eastern guy or Indian guy. But they'll not want to deport him because, oh, but I like him, so he's the same as us. You won't last 2 seconds in an academic debate, ha 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 ha, and I happily would. Well, I've never lost a debate, and I continue to destroy people when they actually do debate me, which is why people like Based and Bougie and Robinstein run away from me. I would happily debate scholars. and improve myself. But you say, this is the thing, people sit there and go, oh, I will do it. I'm going to do it as well. I don't like you as the guy that's voicing these things. I'm going to do it as well. You do it then, but you won't, because you don't want the backlash from doing it. None of these people do. That's why you sit behind a blank you're not the guy that I want to lead us. Well, who else is doing this shit? Anyone else putting their head on the line? You've never been in a debate, pal. Have you watched me talk to people at Speaker's Corner? Have you watched me put myself in the main frame of it? Have you watched me go around these people and tell them to their face, you are not English, you are not part of our Acts of Union 1707, you have no ties here, you are not part of the Anglo-Saxons, the land of Angles, which led to England being named by the English people, which were the Angles, were the Celts here. Yeah, I've spoke to people about this. I do that all the time. Hello. That is part of the job. But people like you won't do that. People like you won't do that because you don't want to be involved with that. Oh, it's too scary. I know it's scary. It's not easy being involved in these things. You get fucking smacked around. You get thrown out of your house and rejected from social circles and fired from your job. But you do it because it matters to do it. Rattle. Okay, he's a troll. Got it. Troll alert, glob alert. UK is mixed like a Rubik's Cube. UK is a fucking disaster because of a horrible immigration policy. But I'm a racist. Oh, I'm racist. Oh, I'm racist because I think that my people who are white need to be a majority. I don't think that racist means anything. You can tell he'd take a German citizenship if it was offered to him. Oh, are you saying that I'm a Nazi? Oh, you saying that I'm a Nazi because but you're a Nazi because you think that your people and your ethnic group matters. You're saying that the Acts of Union 1707 matters. You're saying that an act from 300 years ago matters. When you're a Nazi. You're a Nazi. Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Honestly, where is the level of understanding then? Where is the level of understanding? Most people, I've already said that, most people are dumb. So what do you want me to do? You want me to go into a full... Most people aren't going to be able to sit there and go through all like the legislation and go through the 1958 1958 British Nationality Act. They're not going to sit there and do that. They're not going to sit there and want me to go through the fact that, hey, we gave all these people in the Commonwealth nationality into our country because of the world wars that we were pushed into by these big globalist powers, these big banking powers, and then we turn around and it's like, well, all of our territories that we gave up, bearing in mind, at the end of the British Empire, a lot of it was owned by banking dynasties. A lot of the slave trade was owned by big Jewish individuals that would throw it back and forth between America and the UK from Africa. It was a big financial empire. In fact, they found a ship off the coast of Spain that had a load of gold in it from the slave trade. They found a ship that had a load of gold in it from the slave trade, and they determined it to be Jewish. So it was a bit of a dilemma for Israel. Do they want to claim it and claim that gold and claim that treasure and admit that the slave trade did turn into a Jewish banking dynasty, or deny all accountability for it? Right? I'm trying to go through that at the top of the chat. I'll get there. Christ is Lord, welcome to the base tops. Thank you for the membership. Guys, if you want to become a member to the channel, memberships help. You get exclusive shit as well. You will get exclusive shit. Race is real, race is everything. Well, of course race is real. People go, race isn't real. Okay, what do you mean race isn't fucking real? Hello, look at me. Of course race is real. Of course race is real. 2 pounds says, sir, do not redeem it. Do not redeem the deportation. Do not redeem the remigration trade. It's crazy. Nationality is a person's legal status of belonging to a particular country/ethnicity. Ethnicity refers to a person's social group, shared cultural, language, traditions, and ancestry. Yeah, they meant the same thing. The idea was annihilated again around the world wars because nation comes from the word natio. Natio means a tribe or origin. your lineage, your ancestry, they are the same thing. They are the same thing. I refuse to accept the modern idea of nationality because it leads us down the same path. Leads us down the same path. I'm not reading that. You do not need some Claude poll to define that. I've just defined it for you. The horse and sable analogy is flawed and hacky you. This is entry-level stuff. Yeah, but again, if 90% of the country don't even understand that, then we have to start at the entry so they can get through the door. This is what I mean. This is why people just suck at messaging, because they either make it too complicated or they have no idea what the fuck they're even saying. If it's too complicated, if you're sat there giving like an Oxford level academic scholarship debate for a solid 2 hours to people and going through every form of understanding and going through the origins of all words and the evolution of words and all the tribal wars and all the migration here, people are just going to lose track. People are just going to lose. If you just put it down as a very basic of, hey, look, just because you're born in something doesn't make you something else. Yeah, people understand that. People understand that. Hold on. The Nick Fuentes hairdo tonight is pretty fitting. This is actually how my hair used to always look. I do this hairstyle when I can't be asked to like do the fucking like quiff, right? This is how my hair used to look back in like my days, right? Just that, right? Hold on. A small shift in the understanding of ethnics can lead to deportations. Yeah, exactly. We got to work our way over, right? We've got to work our way over. We are working our way over. So glad you grew up with based boomers. Jealous. Actually, no, my nana is so fucking based. W Nan in chat. She is so based. She's the most based boomer I know. My grandparents are the most based boomers that I know. We love old people that actually get it, right? We love old people that are actually based. You're the guy that threw the wet Quran at me. Cheers, bro. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good shot. Good shot. They might get a passport, but it don't exactly make them English. Exactly. Too many Chinese food shops. Not enough for Big John. Saw Charlie Veach praising the small hats earlier today. You know, the small hats, they say Jesus is burning in the end. They say he's burning in animal shit. It's like to pure him. Top G. My nan is the top G. She's the top gran, right? She's the top gran. Let me keep going. Good job tonight, Mary. The situation cannot be reversed. Yes, it can. Don't be so nihilistic. Of course it can be reversed. Of course it can be reversed. Try to put yourself in the idea of someone who doesn't believe in basic genetic different. It takes a lot of baby steps. Exactly. They just don't get it. Like they don't even understand that race is it's the same thing, right? You did, but we're just the human race. No, please stop. We're always the human race until you need like bone marrow or like sickle cells, or until it comes to impulse control or IQ. So some fucking Somalian, right? Some Somalian was trying to beef with me on X earlier, and they were blaming Britain for everything. They were blaming Britain for like Somalia's problems, and I was like, I think it might be the issue that the average IQ in Somalia is 68, and the IQ for mental retardation is below 70 to 75. So I don't know if it's the British fault that Somalia sucks, or if it's the fault that Somalia is just a nation of retards. They wanted to blame, but I think it might just be the fact that Somalia is a nation of retards. That one star on the Somalian flag, that's just a review of the country, because it's that shit, because they are genuinely mentally retarded by biology. But they were like trying to blame me. I was like, well, excuse me, there are biological differences between us. I'm hoping Hugh isn't a charlatan that's basking in recent glory. Look, I will make this point. When our window begins to shift further and people begin to understand ethnicity, right? Then I will move my conversation on to be more intellectual and to start understanding our actual ethnic groups and our ancestral ties. And I'll start talking about the controls that have tried to destroy our national image. Then I will do that. But until we're at that stage, there is no point me sat here shouting into the wind. Why is there 109 viewers? Don't say that. No, I'm joking. Don't say that. You're all mouth. You spelled your wrong, mate. If you're going to insult me, please write the right your. It's you are, not just your. Oh, everyone that tries to attack me is just a retard. These are the people that think that they're going to offend me. Really, you're going to put me on suicide watch. You really are. I'm joking, by the way. Really are. Is Hugh a part of NRP? No, I'm not. If we keep going, hold on. I want to catch up where we are. Uploading a video I speak about you right now. Cheers, bro. I will might check that out. I might check that out. How do I? I'll open that for later. Even if we're awake, we can't make a change until we become wealthy and powerful for the good. Yeah, but again, we can let's call it. Oh, what's the fucking word? Why am I being written? Why am I being Somali right now? Why am I being Somali? Invade into Parliament, sneak our way in with base stops. I'm gonna just scroll all the way down to the bottom so I can catch up. I don't think there's any more donors in this or anything. Hugh the homosexual has thrown his life away. What a waster, man. This is what I mean. Everyone that insults me is just an idiot. What a waste, man. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Roadman. How's your North Face puffer? I say that I've got a North Face puffer jacket. He's just a waste, man. I've thrown my life away. Well, I still got fucking motion. I think I'm doing all right. Thanks very much. I think I'm doing all right. I have a life to live ahead of me. I'm 22 years old. I think for a 22-year-old, I'm doing okay. When it comes to politics, doing okay. What do I think about Mark Collette? I don't have any opinions on Mark Collette. I don't know him. Guys, I'm not doing the 109, right? I'm not doing the 109. You'll get me in trouble. You'll get me in trouble. Should be 900 viewers in here. Great stream. Hey, we'll get there, right? It's only been 5 months. It's been 5 months of us doing this. I just got banned from Somalia. Oh no, whatever am I going to do not being able to go to Somalia? Whatever am I going to do not going to Somalia? Oh, I didn't think about that. There goes my holiday, right? Hold on. Lad, you project so hard. No friends, no family, just a forked accent. Okay. I mean, apart from the fact that this is just my accent, no family. How many times do I mention my nan? How many times do I say my nan's my biggest fan? No family. I got friends. I'm doing pretty well. We've made some good friends. We've made some really good friends since going into politics. I was out with my friend Reese talking yesterday. That's a friend, right? Does he not count? Is he fake? Is he from the deep state? Is he being sent to distract me? Is he a honey trap? Right? Protecting demographics is part of the process of attaining the wealth in the first place. Well, of course it is, because if we're not protecting our demographics, then we don't have a native understanding of wealth. If we allow foreign assets to dictate our country, like our energy and whatnot, and I will actually say I will give kudos to the Labour Party for starting up the first nuclear facility in Anglesey now in North Wales. That is finally some fucking improvement. Is it going to be foreign owned? Well, I mean, it's the Great British Energy nuclear section, so it should be government owned, but we'll see how that goes. But that's what we need to do. We need to be focusing on our natural production. So maybe it'll be good. I hope so. I hope so. England may be 1,000 years old, but our tribal people have existed for 300. True. Hugh's always got friends in the northeast. Based. Yeah, see, like, I've got friends all over. It's fine. It's amazing he did get his theatre flat across from Parliament. He's great at politics. That's what he got there. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Rupert Lowe sent me a DM. He was like, Hugh, I got a spare office across from Westminster. You got Big Ben in the background. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, okay, perfect. So I'm actually in Rupert Lowe's office right now. This is where I'm staying for now. How do you explain your radicalization? Okay. The idea that I'm radical in modern terms, if you were to go back 80 years, I would be seen as liberal. Now I'm radical because our country has been reshaped and propagandized to accept our replacement, right? My radicalization is from being brought up in a non-homogenous society where I'm witnessing my own people be stabbed to death on almost a daily basis, my own people being raped, my own people being attacked, my government being controlled by foreign entities, foreign wars that we should have no interest in being sent millions of pounds, whilst our own people can't get housing. There is no schooling places because of mass amount of migration levels, where our own veterans are on the street. My radicalization comes from my life experience of watching my hometown of Grimsby be completely decimated, by watching Manchester be completely reshaped from when I was a kid up until now, to be the point where it's dangerous to go out at night because you will be threatened by somebody with a knife, or you'll be mugged or robbed. I know that because I know my own brother was threatened with a massive fucking machete by some Indian bloke after a night out. That's normal. I'm not even surprised. He wasn't surprised. That's normal in Manchester because that is the point of our country. Radicalization is going to happen, quote unquote, radicalization is going to happen among my generation because we are living in a very, very different society to the older generations that did not have to live around these issues. The orcs are in our Shire and we will liberate the Shire. We are the hobbits. We will liberate the Shire. We are going to take it back, right? I'm not Bilbo, I'm not that old. You get what I mean, right? That, if you want to call that radicalization of life experience, and sure, go for it. I don't really care. But you are going to see people with my point of view, a lot of the younger generation, the younger white men specifically, that are rejecting feminism. They're rejecting multiculturalism and multiracialism. They're rejecting liberalism. They're rejecting democracy. You're going to see a lot more young men turn up to my side and go, yeah. Most radical thing about his choice in alcoholic beverage. You mean tonight's stream that is once again not sponsored by Strongbow Dark Fruits? Strongbow, listen, if you want to sponsor me, still the offer's still there. You can sponsor the British man, right? You look Irish. Thank you. I'll take it, I suppose. Get out my Shire, true. Get them out my Shire. Zero migration. Even with net zero migration, we're still on track to be a minority in this country. By 2066, we have to start re-migration. People need to learn about history of the real far right in this country before they call Hugh radical. Well, yeah, exactly. The point is, if we're going to call me like far right, radical, all of that, 99.999% of the entirety of the history of this world would have been far right then. Like, it would have been far right. So, you calling me far right? Yeah, well, you got to call all your ancestors far right. You got to call the entire fucking world far right. Because they've all been far right. It's not just me. Yo, Lewis for the £10. Love the Cambridge episode. It would be lovely to patiently build architecture like that once we've cleared the Shire. Clear the Shire, rebuild the Shire. Clear the Shire, rebuild the Shire. That's the plan. It should be, this is how we win. The 3 R's. Not retards. Re-educate, re-migrate, rebuild. There you go. So then the England away badges. Would I get in trouble with YouTube for doing that? I don't know if I'll get in trouble for that. Let's not get me banned off YouTube, right? Do you think you risk prosecution for naughty speech? Maybe. Maybe. What, hurty words and facts that people don't want to hear? What, because I say things about like global powers that control us? I talk out about ethno-tribalism at the top. I talk out about global Jewry. I talk out about ethnic divides and race realism because I say that. Oh, yeah, we got to lock him up. Send him to jail. Send him to jail. He said too much. He said too much. He read too much. Oh, it's history. It's not hate speech. It's history. What even is fucking hate speech? Hate speech is so subjective. I had this guy that messaged me the other day, somebody I used to go to school with, a Jewish guy actually. And he was like, I'm going to report you to the police because of what you say on your show. I was like, go for it. I was like, I don't give a shit. Go for it. I was like, you can't stop. You can't stop what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's now only going to be a sparring session. Cringe. Cringe. If you practiced homosexuality in the past, now veered to the opposite end of the spectrum, do you stand for anything or do you switch your opinions every 5 minutes to clout chase? Well, okay, do you think this is a good clout, considering I've just been relentlessly attacked and like basically sacrificed my own living for the pursuit of truth? You think that that's like clout? You think that's notoriety that people want? I could do a young Bob. I could sit there and just go Islam, Islam, Islam. It's not about race. I could sit there and ignore the JQ. I could do all of that, but I don't. I say what I want to say, and it's dangerous, I suppose, with our laws. But fuck it, we ball, right? But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Ronald. But again, can a man not change his life around? Can a man not change his life around? Is that something that's impossible now? Is somebody not able to find a path forwards? Does it have to? Once you do something in your past, is that forever you? What did you guys do in your? Anyone in chat here done something in their past as a kid that they regret in their adult life? Anybody here done anything like that? Well, if you've done something like that, according to Ronald, that is you now for the rest of life, right? That is you forever. You are now that person. There's nothing you could do about it. You've already cocked up once, so that's it. That's it. You see why that's dumb? See why that's dumb? It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. You can change your life, but you've done a complete 180 in such a short space of time. It shows no commitment to such prolonged learning. Okay, let's put it like this. When somebody makes a severe change because they've been down a spiraling path and they have a redemption moment where they've known for a very, very long time that something's wrong and they know exactly what's wrong, they just can't break out of it because it's a cycle of abuse. When they finally have the ability to snap out of the cycle of abuse and put themselves on a better path, is that wrong? In fact, again, if people know my history, I was a Trump fan in 2016. I was a Trump fan in 2020. I voted for reform last year. I used to be a Conservative member. I voted for Boris Johnson to become the leader of the Conservative Party. I didn't suddenly become right-wing. I didn't suddenly become conservative or traditionalist. They were all opinions that I held, but repressed whilst I tried to live as a teenager. And I inevitably went, yeah, I don't like living as a teenager. It's not who I am. So I snapped out of the conditioning and the abuse of things and aligned myself back on the right track. Is that wrong? Should I have just killed myself? Would that have made you happier, Ronald? Well, probably would have known in your comments, but like that's what I mean. Like that's why I don't understand people. I've got like a lot of events in my life with things, but well, that's why Alan. That's why I said did support Trump, right? I did support Trump. I think he's a shill. I don't think he's America first anymore. He's a lot of dodgy past dealings. Yeah, very interesting. You voting for parties that promised to be right wing and they were centre left at best. Yeah, exactly. Again, it was the manipulation. It was the propaganda. Inevitably, you didn't like living at home either. No, no, clearly not. No, I'm not going to get into my own like personal affairs, but no, I did not. No, I did not. That was something that I wanted to change for a while, and this has done nothing more than give me a boost to change it, I suppose. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. I'm going to leave it there for tonight. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everyone being in chat tonight. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the memberships. If you want to support me, you can become a member of the channel. You can either donate in the description to the the PayPal. You can become a Patreon. Follow me on X at the Hugh Anthony. You can follow me on Rumble as well, where I'm doing all of the reruns. Rumble is Hugh Anthony. Again, find me there. I will be back tomorrow. We're doing a show tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Until then, just find me on Twitter. Go watch those. Go watch the Cambridge video. Go watch me and Reese. Reese is a good guy. We'll have Reese on very shortly, and we'll do a joint stream there. But go watch that show. Go watch that. Go subscribe to Reese as well. He does his own thing as well. Thank you very much for the subscription cafe. I will stay strong. Thank you to all of you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families and your friends. And God bless you all. I will see you later. Thank you very much, everybody.